Blessings, dear friends. My name is James Jacob Pratt. As most of you know, I'm with Moriel Ministries, coming to you from Auckland, New Zealand, here on Catching Up with Jacob. My apologetic regrets. I'm double booked because of the time zone differences. I'm another day after people in Britain and America and so forth, and Canada, and the scheduling is virtually impossible. So I'm just going to insert my bits ahead of time and leave it to Marco and to James and to Davey and the crew and David to do the best they can. I'm doing the best I can under the circumstance. Here in New Zealand time, May the 11th, which is Saturday, we have a double session, 10 a.m. to 2 in the afternoon at the Panmure Community Hall in Auckland, New Zealand. The Panmure Community Hall is located on Pilkington Road in Panmure, Auckland. Pilkington Road, Panmure, Auckland, 10 a.m. on Saturday until 2 in the afternoon. We have a double session. One of the subjects will be dealing, of course, with prophecy, and we will be addressing contemporary events in the Middle East somewhat. On Sunday, we will be at the Buckland Community Center in Auckland at Pukekohe at the Buckland Community Center here in Auckland. The details are available again on the Moriel website, moriel.org, or just Google Moriel itinerary. Hope to see you then. After that, we'll be going down to Christchurch and then on to Wellington. But right now, we are in Auckland, and if you're in the Auckland area or somewhere proximal in the North Island, we look forward to seeing you. We know we have people from Tauranga as far away as Hamilton, Wairoa, and so forth. And it is a blessing and a pleasure to be back in New Zealand after being away so long due to COVID and so forth. Well, a couple of things I'd just like to address in the segment I've been allotted by the time factors. One is, of course, going to be what's happening in Israel and the policies of the Biden administration, now showing their true colors as never before, or the Joe Obama administration, as they should be called. But I'm also outrageously disturbed at the absurdity of the demands of the Chicago Teachers Union. Now, remember, the Chicago Teachers Union has one of the lowest academic performances in terms of teacher evaluation in the United States. It is not due to lack of funding. The schools are overfunded. We spend more money per student than most countries in the world. The problem, obviously, lies with the educational bureaucracy, which is there to indoctrinate, not educate, and with the teachers' unions that are nothing more than a political campaign fund for the left wing of the Democratic Party. The mayor of Chicago was a former teacher, so the teachers' union have their man taking the place of Lori Lightfoot, who tried to destroy the city with her policies. Now you have Johnson, who's as bad, if not worse. Crime is going through the roof, but understand the demands of the teachers' unions. Chicago is a financially troubled city. Businesses and industries are leaving Chicago because of the crime, because of the outrageous taxation, because of the influx of illegal immigrants. Businesses are leaving, the middle class is leaving. Yet the teachers union is demanding not $50 million more. In their new contract, they want $50 billion, 50,000 million dollars more for a bankrupt city, or a city that is teetering just above bankruptcy. You've got Walmarts closing. You've got shopping malls closing down. Businesses closing shop because of the legalization of crime. They've got a useless prosecutor who's essentially pro-crime in her policies. Now, you have that in other cities, like with Krasner in Philadelphia and Bragg in New York and in Los Angeles and so forth, but she is of that ilk. It's just out of control. How can a city that is insolvent afford $50 billion to an already overfunded school system? Now, let's look at the results of the school system in Chicago. 21% of eighth graders cannot read at an eighth grade level. Only 21% can. Only 21%. 79% of eighth graders in Chicago, in the Chicago public school system, cannot read at an eighth grade level. Eighth graders who can't read. 79% can't read properly. Only 21% can read at that level that is age appropriate and grade appropriate. Math, only 16%. 16% have the mathematical proficiency of an eighth grader. That means 84% are mathematically incompetent. Now, how in a high-tech economy can you possibly have students ready to take their place in high-tech jobs involving mathematical skills, computer skills, and coding? You cannot. The biggest failures, it's an across-the-board failure, but by far the biggest victims of this failure are minority students. Yet, Black people will vote for the failure of their own schools. They will vote to keep their own children stupid and out of the job market. And after they vote in their stupidity for the Democratic Party, after they vote to deprive their children of any chance of a future because they're illiterate and innumerate, they're going to yell racism because that's what they've been called to do. This is the teachers' union. We've been warning for years about people like Randy Weingarten and the teachers' unions nationally. But now we're talking about the Chicago Teachers Union, which is one of the worst. They're demanding more money for abortion. They're demanding more money for illegal immigrant students. Not for American students, not for Black and Hispanic American students. They want an increased budget for people with no legal right to be in the country. They want paid abortion benefits for teachers and housing benefits for teachers. These are people who get over 3 months a year paid vacation. Other people are working 2 jobs. Teachers are getting 3 months a year paid vacation. And they want a salary increase that will push their average earnings up above $140,000 to $145,000 a year with 3 months off. They want to be paid for failing the students, for failing the children, and for failing minorities above all. Now, some people in Chicago are waking up, and some minorities, some Black people are waking up, but not enough. Spritzer has signed a bill that will make it more and more difficult for anybody but Democrats to get elected. You have to have a candidate who's in a primary to get on the ballot. So if there's no opposition within the party, if the party is united on back of one candidate, he can't run. This is an attack on democracy by Spritzer, but this is what people vote for. The people in Chicago are voting to have the Walmarts closed. They're voting to have a food desert. And they're voting to keep their own children stupid and have no place in the job market or in a high-tech economy. They're voting to hold themselves and their children down and keep the Black people as the lowest people on the totem pole. Why isn't that money going to Black students, to inner city students? But they'll vote for Democrat. This is a union. Now, here's the clincher. Not only do they want $50 billion, where is that money going to come from? We're up in arms about $61 billion given to Ukraine. This is $50 billion to an already overfunded school system. Why do I say it's overfunded? Because teacher pay should be linked to job performance. But the Chicago teachers unions demanding a complete uncoupling of teacher evaluation from pay scales. In other words, we can do as lousy a job as we want. We can continue to fail the taxpayer and fail the children and get paid more money for doing it with no accountability. That's what they're demanding. And they've got their man as mayor of Chicago. You couldn't make this up again. But finally, they want Chicago schools. Chicago schools. Now remember the gun crime, the knife crime, children being shot dead by drug gangs going to and from school. The drug epidemic in school, including fentanyl among children. That's what you vote for. That's what you get. Some people in Chicago, including a number of black people, have woken up and realized the truth. Some have. The majority have not. They'll vote for Johnson just because he's black. They will cheer Kim Foxx even when their own children are being shot dead on their way to school. It's hopeless. Hopeless. I also believe it's God's judgment. Unspeakable. Chicago. Yeah. I used to like Chicago.